In the vast world of rock music, few artists have mastered the art of saying more with less, quite like David Gilmour. While others chased speed, spectacle, and controversy, Gilmour carved a path defined by restraint, emotion, and precision. His playing doesn't demand attention, it commands it. A single sustained note from his guitar can quiet arenas and stir something deeply human within listeners. Best known as the sonic backbone of Pink Floyd, Gilmour transformed music into a language of feeling rather than display. His legacy is not built on technical excess, but on emotional truth. To understand him is to explore a life shaped not by noise but by silence, introspection, and an unwavering commitment to authenticity. A childhood shaped by silence. David Gilmour was born on March 6, 1946 in Cambridge, a place synonymous with intellect and academic rigour. His father, Douglas Gilmour, was a respected zoologist, while his mother, Sylvia Wilson, worked as a journalist and later a film educator. Though his upbringing appeared privileged, it lacked emotional warmth. Gilmour often described his childhood as distant and isolating. His parents were intellectually engaged but emotionally reserved, leaving him to navigate his inner world alone. There was no overt hardship, but the absence of connection shaped his personality deeply. In quiet rooms, filled with serious conversation, he became an observer rather than a participant, developing the introspection that would later define both his character and his music. Finding refuge in music. At around the age of 10, Gilmour received his first guitar, a seemingly small gift that would become his lifeline. With no formal instruction, he taught himself using books, radio broadcasts, and endless repetition. Music didn't arrive as a hobby, it became an escape. Influenced by artists like Elvis Presley and the Everly Brothers, as well as blues traditions from Chicago, he immersed himself in sound. Hours alone in his room allowed him to translate unspoken emotions into melody. The guitar became his voice, expressing what words could not. These solitary sessions laid the foundation for his signature style, slow, expressive, and emotionally resonant. Music was no longer something he listened to, it was something he lived through. The meeting that changed everything. During his time studying art in Cambridge, Gilmour met Syd Barrett, a charismatic and unpredictable musician who would later found Pink Floyd. The two bonded over music, experimentation, and creative exploration. While Barrett embodied spontaneity and chaos, Gilmour represented calm and control. Their contrasting personalities created a unique dynamic that would later define the band's evolution. They spent time jamming, discussing artistic ideas, and exploring the boundaries of sound. Though their paths would diverge in painful ways, Barrett's influence remained deeply embedded in Gilmour's journey. This friendship would eventually lead Gilmour into Pink Floyd, not just as a guitarist, but as someone destined to carry forward a fragile and evolving musical vision. Struggles before recognition. Before achieving global fame, Gilmour experienced years of uncertainty and hardship. Travelling through Europe with friends, he performed in small venues, often struggling financially. There were moments so desperate that instruments had to be sold just to survive. Unlike many performers, he lacked stage flamboyance and social confidence, making success seem distant. Yet beneath that quiet exterior was a remarkable musical sensitivity. When Pink Floyd began to falter due to Syd Barrett's declining mental health, Gilmour was invited to join in 1967. Initially, his role was to support Barrett during performances, but as Barrett's condition worsened, Gilmour gradually took on a larger role. His entry marked a turning point, though it came with the heavy responsibility of filling an irreplaceable void. Stepping into the shadow. When Syd Barrett left Pink Floyd in 1968, Gilmour faced the challenge of stepping into a role still haunted by his predecessor. Fans and critics continued to associate the band with Barrett's vision, leaving Gilmour largely unrecognised. Rather than competing for attention, he focused on refining the music. Albums like A Saucerful of Secrets and Meddle showcased a gradual transformation in sound. The track Echoes became a defining moment, highlighting Gilmour's ability to convey emotion through extended guitar passages. His approach was not about dominance but contribution. He allowed the music to evolve organically, helping Pink Floyd transition from experimental psychedelia to a more structured and emotionally driven soundscape that would eventually define their global identity. The rise of a musical voice. By the early 1970s, Gilmour's influence within Pink Floyd had become undeniable. His guitar work began to shape the band's sonic identity, bringing clarity and emotional depth to their compositions. When The Dark Side of the Moon was released in 1973, it marked a turning point not just for the band, but for rock music as a whole. The album's themes of time, mortality, and human experience were elevated by Gilmour's expressive playing. His solos were not technical showcases, they were emotional narratives. Listeners connected deeply with the music, often describing it as immersive and transformative. Without overtly seeking recognition, Gilmour had become the emotional core of Pink Floyd's sound. Crafting timeless emotion. Gilmour's artistry reached new heights with tracks like Comfortably Numb, widely regarded as one of the greatest guitar performances in rock history. His solos in the song are celebrated not for speed or complexity, but for their emotional impact. Each note feels deliberate, almost conversational, as if the guitar itself is speaking. This ability to evoke deep feeling set Gilmour apart from his contemporaries. He understood that music was not about impressing audiences, but connecting with them. His playing often carried a sense of longing, reflection, and quiet intensity. Through restraint and precision, he demonstrated that true artistry lies not in how much you play, but in how much you make others feel. A life beyond the spotlight. Despite immense success, Gilmour remained deeply private and avoided the trappings of fame. He rarely sought media attention and preferred a quieter life away from public scrutiny. In 2019, he made headlines for auctioning over 120 guitars, including his iconic Black Strat, raising more than $21 million for charitable causes. Rather than holding on to symbols of his legacy, he chose to use them for good. This decision reflected his philosophy. Music is about sharing, not possession. Unlike many rock legends, Gilmour never relied on controversy or excess to maintain relevance. His humility and integrity became as much a part of his legacy as his music, reinforcing the idea that greatness does not require constant visibility. The legacy of subtle greatness. David Gilmour's legacy is not defined by loudness, speed, or spectacle. It is defined by depth, sincerity, and emotional resonance. In a genre often associated with excess, he chose restraint. In a culture driven by attention, he embraced silence. His music continues to inspire generations, not because it demands admiration, but because it invites connection. He proved that subtlety can be powerful and that authenticity can outlast trends. Through every note, he reminded listeners that music is ultimately about emotion, raw, unfiltered, and deeply human. His influence extends far beyond Pink Floyd, shaping how artists approach expression and storytelling through sound. Outro, the sound that stays. David Gilmour never needed to declare himself a legend. The world recognized it in every note he played. His journey from a quiet, introspective child to the defining voice of Pink Floyd is a testament to the power of patience and authenticity. He didn't chase greatness. He allowed it to emerge naturally through dedication and feeling. In a world often dominated by noise, his music offers stillness, and in that stillness, listeners find something rare, truth. Whether through a soaring solo or a single sustained note, Gilmour continues to remind us that the most powerful voices are often the quietest,